All right, hello again, everybody. My name is Greg Milewski. I am with Retirement Income Source of Southwest Florida, and we're here today to talk again about retirement planning. That's what we do, retirement planning. But one of the biggest things that we realize that people do in their retirement years is make some pretty big mistakes with regard to retirement planning or their retirement savings accounts. So I would love to help you not repeat the same mistakes that many people make, all right? So if you like our educational videos, just hit the like button there and subscribe, because we're going to talk about a lot of these kinds of topics that are very relevant to your retirement savings. And when it comes to retirement planning, a lot of people make some pretty big mistakes. We talked about this before in one of my previous videos about how people in retirement try to do it themselves. The biggest mistake I think people have is not getting good coaching from a certified financial planner, from people who are experienced in actual retirement planning, which is not the same thing as learning how to save when you're 30 or 40. The type of saving, the type of growth you want in your accounts is a whole different ballgame when you're young than when you're in your retirement years. So we encourage you to get good, godly counsel, especially for those that want to save money and put it to good use for charity and charitable planning. There's a lot of good strategies you can use for that. But again, you need to get good counsel that will help you with your different plans, whatever plans you're making for your posterity that comes after you. So having said that, if you make the first mistake, which is doing it all yourself, the second biggest mistake we say is staying in growth stocks too long, okay? You have your retirement nest egg that you built up over many, many years, and you're used to having this money growing and asset value. You want the underlying share price to grow in value so that you buy low and you sell high when you retire, right? But when you switch gears, though, in your retirement years, we say you need to have a little bit of a paradigm shift and stop staying in the growth stock market, because in those retirement years, you don't want so much volatility. You don't want your nest egg going up and down when you're trying to withdraw money from your accounts. So we say, have a little bit of a paradigm shift. Go from merely staying in growth stocks to using a different formula. With your retirement nest egg, we say you should factor in the growth of your money from two places: from the income that it generates, the investments generate, as well as what we call capital appreciation. So many people think of, when they think of growth or the ROR of their savings, they think of just capital appreciation. Again, where the share price is low and you sell high. Well, that works well, but when you're younger and you have a long time horizon, it's okay to stay in the growth market because of the ups and downs and, time to recover, right? But when you're in retirement, do you really want to be taking money out when the assets are going up and down in value? We know that the market has had this crazy, time. We know that the market in 2000 was at about 2,800 right here. 2,800 was the stock market. And then in 2003, it went down and came back up again. In 2007, never reached that. And then came down all the way down like 54% in 2008. Everybody remembers that, the mortgage crisis, and then back up again. It took till 2014 to get back to where we were in the year 2000. This is the year 2000. It took that long. And this is what we call a horizontal market. Now, the problem is, though, horizontal market is really only part of the picture. If you're in retirement and you're taking out your 4%, they say, 4% average rule, taking out money to live on, and you're selling shares at when the market's going down, or even when it's going back up, you're still selling too low, lower than maybe what you bought in. So this is a bad philosophy when you're in your retirement years and you're taking all these withdrawals, you're selling your shares at a loss over and over again. Even here, you're selling at a loss compared to where you were in 2000. So in retirement, this is not a good thing, because you will eat through a lot of your savings because you're selling your principal. You're selling the shares of the assets that you hold. So instead, we say, have a little paradigm shift, a little light bulb that goes off, and work with a team like us who does this for a living, where we actually help people with learning how to make most of their income by getting a big income from their investments. So instead, what we say is, look at your total growth as the income of your investments plus the capital appreciation, meaning most of the growth that we look for is from specializing in investments that produce a high income yield. When I say high income yield, we're talking about somewhere between 4 and 10%, okay? 4 to 10%. I could draw a 4, right? Anyway, that's the idea behind it. In other words, if you're drawing out 4 or 5% a year, why don't you just let your investments build you an income, a perpetual income machine? I call that a dividend income machine. Dividend income machine. What that does for you is it builds up more of your income every year is built up by having investments that yield you a very high dividend rate or a high interest rate, and then you're actually making more than you're pulling out. And when you're pulling the income out, you're not selling shares, you're pulling out the income that it's generating for you. So that means that you can have this horizontal market and not be afraid of selling the shares, because you're not selling your shares. You're leaving your shares in there, and your shares are producing for you enough income to live on. Now, if you'd like to get more information about this strategy, I encourage you to talk to someone like us who is a retirement planning firm, and then get some real help from professionals, okay, who specialize in income, who specialize in turning your investments into income generating machines. That way you can have a perpetual income that you won't outlive. All right, so for more information like this, just hit that subscribe button down there below and stay tuned for more informational videos. Bye-bye for now.